Hello fellow readers, I'm Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. Today we are freaking out because it is time for the mid-year freakout tag. This tag is a series of 13 questions to really prompt you to review what books you've read in the first part of the year, and it's just like a super fun tag that's been a staple in the booktube community, and I am so excited that for my first year on booktube I get to complete it as well. So that being said, let's kick it off. Very similar to so many other people that I've watched, I definitely could not just choose one book for so many of these prompts. I've read like somewhere in the realm of like 120 books so far this year, and so it's just like so hard to like dwindle it down to just only 13 books for the entire video. So I might be going a little bit over, but hopefully that just makes it more entertaining for you. So the first prompt is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2022? And I have about 4 of them. First is Know My Name, and this book, just like everything about it was so good. It was so educational, it was so heart-wrenching, like it was so well crafted. So definitely this one is on this list, rightfully so. The next 2 I have are from my Reading Colleen Hoover for the first time video, and that is Verity and Reminders of Him. I loved both of these for such different reasons. Verity left me like absolutely screaming at the end, and Reminders of Him just seemed like such a good like show of empathy and like understanding for other humans, and I absolutely loved that. Of course, if you have watched any of my videos, I'm sure you know this last one is Heartstopper. I absolutely love this series, and I'm sure everyone has heard of it and read it at this point, but I just like could not list it. So those were all my best books of 2022. The next prompt is the best sequel you've read so far in 2022. Of course, going after my last question is definitely Heartstopper Volume 4. This was the 4th in the series, and so of course it was on my best book list. It's gonna be on my best sequel list as well. The next book is Count Your Lucky Stars. This series is just a bunch of like queer romances, and I just have such a good time with them. I definitely wouldn't say that any of the books individually are like exceptional or like something that you haven't already read, but they are all just like so good staples, and so I am definitely happy to read any and all of the books. So this one also makes it onto my best sequels. The last one is Finlay Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. This is the second book to Finlay Donovan is Killing It, and it's one of my more recent reads. I did really enjoy this book as well. I still love all the mischief that these characters are getting into. I think these are just such fun books, and I've really enjoyed them. So this one definitely makes it up there as well. The next prompt is a new release that you want to read but you haven't yet read. Oh my golly, of course I have so many of these. The TBR list is always so much longer than the actual reading list, but I will quickly run through a bunch of these. The ones I have here physically are The Woman in the Library. This one's a murder mystery set in a library. The next one I have is Book of Night, and this one is all kind of in a shadow realm, and our main character is kind of a anti-hero, it sounds like, at least from the beginning. And so I'm very excited about getting to this one as well. I have Maid, which is another kind of murder mystery set in a hotel. And then I have When Women Were Dragons, which is kind of like a feminist retelling about how when women get angry, they turn into dragons. Then the 2 that I don't own physically are The Bodyguard. It's a super recent release, and it sounds like such a fun time. We have the female who is the bodyguard for this actor, and it's fake dating when he goes home to visit his family. It just sounds like a solid time. The other one I have is the Hotel Magnifique. Honestly, I feel like I don't really know much about it, but like this cover is just absolutely stunning. So I've been wanting to read it ever since I saw the cover. The next prompt is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And this one, I'm sure I could list a ton, but the one that comes to mind is Love on the Brain. I absolutely loved the Love Hypothesis, just like seems like everyone else. And I am so excited for her next book. Again, the cover is so freaky adorable and I love pink, so I am very excited about this. The next prompt is the biggest disappointments, and I've read a lot of really bad books this year, but not all of them I necessarily went in with high expectations. So some of those didn't actually make this list, but the ones that I was disappointed in because I had high expectations include Boyfriend Material, which you can see more of my summary in the like recreating the pride flag video, because I just cannot get into it right now. I went in with such high hopes because it sounds adorable, and I was just let down. Also in that video, I had Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, and this book, again, I was so excited for. I loved the like cover design. I loved the queer graphic novel format of the book, and I was just let down with the story. And so you can see more about that again in that video, because I just cannot get into it right now. The other books that really disappointed me were Arrow to the Moon, unfortunately, because I am obsessed with this cover. It is so pretty, but like this, I think just like I was intrigued with the story. Like the kids were a little too young for me in this YA genre, and it just really did not hit, unfortunately. And then the other one, unfortunately, is The Verifiers. This sounded like such a good book when I got it. It was like a mystery. It involved dating apps, so it was like a little bit of technology and a little bit of romance. But like really, I was just mostly bored throughout it, and so that was so upsetting. On the other hand though, our next prompt is the biggest surprises. And first, starting out, is Verity. Again, I feel like I went into the Colleen Hoover video not really having many expectations. I knew that like she was a huge author that like so many people loved, but like I didn't really know what I was getting into, and like this book really shocked me. It was like my favorite book of the video. So this by far is one of the biggest surprises, especially that ending. Like, it was a big surprise. The next book is Kaikei. This book, I didn't know that much going into it. I mean, it's huge, and I knew that was some kind of like feminist retelling similar to like Circe or Ariadne, but I did not know much about the history of this book. It was so intriguing, and I loved our characters. I was actually like thoroughly interested throughout this entire long book, and I feel like that is saying a lot. So this was definitely on one of my big surprises, just because I was definitely intimidated and I didn't really know much about it before getting into it. So absolutely loved this book as well. The last one that I really knew nothing about it at all. I had never heard of it before receiving this book in one of my book boxes, and that is The Midnight Girls. I absolutely consumed this book. It is fantasy, it is Polish, it's very, very sapphic, and like just the vibes, amazing. Like this edition as well, just like absolutely stunning. Literally everything about this book, like I could not say anything negative. I loved this. And so another big surprise. Next prompt is my favorite new author, and this one, I wouldn't say that like any of these are really like favorites yet, but because they are so new to me, but they definitely are people that I'm very intrigued by and will be picking up again to try to see if they continue to be favorites. Similar to my responses for the last prompt, I do have Vaishnavi Patel, who wrote Kaikeyi, which you've already heard I absolutely loved, and so very interested to pick up more of their books. I have Alicia Jasinska, and as you already heard, I absolutely loved this book. And so I am intrigued to see anything else that she's written. I actually don't know if they have any other works currently out or if this was their first book. So definitely something I should look into, but would love to see if this vibe is in all of the other books as well. I also have Olivia Blake. I recently read the Atlas 6 and actually really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was like my perfect read, but I was very intrigued the entire time, and I really enjoyed the story and concept as a whole, and so I am very interested in picking up more of this author's work. The last one I have is Wanda M. Morris, which wrote All Her Little Secrets, and this was one of the books that I read for the Literally Died book club this year, and I believe it's a debut book as well, and it just absolutely like kept me so intrigued, and so I am very interested to see more from this author as well. The next prompt is going to be my new fictional crushes. The first book that I have again is The Midnight Girls. I was absolutely obsessed with Zosha and Marinka, who are our two main characters who get perspectives from. They had a lot of banter, they had a lot of chemistry, and just like I was absolutely obsessed with them the entire time, and like just the entire vibes of this book, the entire vibes of them, like everything about it I was here for. Absolutely loved it. Definitely new crushes. Similar to that one, I also have Delilah Green. I mean, excuse me? Do you see this woman right here? How could she not? I am absolutely obsessed. I really enjoyed this book. Definitely not my favorite romance. There were like small little issues that I had with it as well, but overall, Delilah Green, like chef's kiss. Love it. So she is definitely another one of my crushes. I tried to find a male protagonist to list for a crush as well, and that was Gus. I really loved this book. I just loved like the growth that both of these characters brought out in each other, and like how much he challenged her and she challenged him, and I just thought it was very intriguing romance to read, and so this is my other fictional crush. The next prompt is my new favorite characters, and to start out with, I will say again, Marinka and Zosha from here, I've talked about enough, but they also make it onto my favorite characters list. Additionally, already talked about it, but Kaikeyi. Absolutely love this story and love the character, so she makes it on there as well. Next, both Finley and Vero from this series. Again, I just had so much fun reading these books, and both of the characters were so much fun, and so they make it onto my list as well. Also on this list is Elise from All Her Little Secrets. I just loved the like strong woman power, like C-suite executive like strength that she brought to this. I loved the depth of like her character and her family and all of that stuff, and so she makes it onto this list as well. Finally, I have both Kenna and Ledger from Reminders of Him. As I said before, I just loved how much like empathy and forgiveness that was contained within this book from both of these characters specifically, and so they also made it onto this list. The next prompt is books that made me cry, and most of these I don't physically own, so I'll put the pictures around here, but they include Know My Name, which I talked about earlier, Tomorrow Will Be Different, which I also read for my Recreating the Pride Flag video, and that one is all about like the history of trans rights, and it's a memoir format as well, and so it really pulled at my heartstrings. Again, reminders of him, which I've talked about a couple times, so I think you can get the vibe. Then last, Grown. This book was so good, and it dealt with a lot of very heavy topics, but if you are able to read this, it was so fast paced, it was so intriguing. Like, this book was so good if you can read it. Very similar vibes to the last one in my responses to it, but The Night Swim. Again, this one's like a mystery kind of story told in a podcast format. Again, deals with some really heavy topics, but it was so good if you can read it. Opposite to the last question, it is all the books that made me happy. And so, of course, as I mentioned before, kicking it off is Heartstopper Volume 4. Without a doubt, 10,000%. These books always make me happy, so of course it has to be on this list. Next, I also have The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. This book is just like so whimsical. I mean, look at this cover. Like, if that's not whimsy and just like stunning fantasy world, I don't know what is. So this book also makes it on there. The next book is 7 Days in June. I didn't know a ton about this book before I went into it, but I absolutely loved the story and loved the couple, and at the end of it, I literally was begging for more of this story and more of this couple. So I think that means so much. Again, I'm sure you're tired of hearing me talk about this, but Midnight Girls. Everything I've said about it just literally made me so happy, and it had to be on this list as well. Very similar to my comments before, Count Your Lucky Stars also makes it onto this list. Again, just like a really solid romance series, and I just really enjoyed it, so it also made me very happy. Finally, very same vibes, Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Again, another romance that's just very like happy-go-lucky. I really enjoyed my time. And so it made it on this list as well. The next prompt is the most beautiful books that you've received or purchased this year, and I have a whole stack of them for us to go through, so I'll try to do it quickly. First is The Maid. It has these beautiful stenciled edges on the side, and I am absolutely obsessed with this, so definitely this one. Again, The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. This, everything about it is just whimsical, and I absolutely love it. We have the stenciled edges on the side. We also have these gorgeous end papers as well. And so just everything about this book is absolutely gorgeous. Very similar to the last one, we also have Midnight Girls, as I showed you before. All of the sides of this dust jacket and these stenciled edges, absolutely stunning. And then additionally, we have front and back of the actual cover, which is gorgeous. We have the end pages, which are very whimsical as well. And so everything about this book, gorgeous as well. Again, another book subscription box, and that is this copy of The Woven Kingdom. I love this like dark blue with all of the gold and silver foiling on it, and then also we have the sprayed edges as well. Again, everything about this book is absolutely gorgeous, so this one makes it on there. And then I do have a couple of not specialty ones as well, and those are Murder Isn't Easy, and this one, I just love the cover of this. Something about it is so pleasing, and so while it's not necessarily like special edges or anything, I'm still obsessed with it. As well as Ordinary Monsters. I don't know what about it, but just kind of the simplicity of this black cover with like just a cutout window in the middle something is just so aesthetically pleasing to my eyes. And so this one, while again not like specialty in any way, it looks so gorgeous. The last prompt is, what are the books that you need to read before the end of the year? And I don't really want to sign myself up for even more books that I need to get to or I feel like a failure. So I think I'm mostly going to just repeat the books from my 22 books that I want to read in 2022 video, and just name the ones that I haven't really gotten to yet. But there is one additional one that I added to the end, so I'll just run through the list, and if you want to know more about them, you can check out that video. I have Love on the Brain, They Never Learn, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Sense and Second Degree Murder, No Exit, These Violent Delights, From Blood and Ash, Kingdom of the Wicked, Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, and then the one I am adding as a need to get to from that list is Take a Hint, Danny Brown. Those are all 13 prompts for the mid-year freakout tag. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Maybe you learned about a couple new books. If you have any contradictions or affirmations to the books that I just mentioned, please let me know down below. If you would have answered any of these questions differently, I would love to know your responses as well. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe down below. It would really mean everything to me. Until next time, keep reading!